and welcome to Generally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the worlds of pop culture and personal development. I'm your host, Jennifer Snook. I am so happy to be here with you today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. There's been a lot that's been happening with mine. But before we get into it, let's get Christy on the line because there is a lot to talk about. Okay, hi, sweet face.
Hi.
I'm so happy to see you. I love your whole background that you've got going on.
I'm so glad because I just plop in front of it.
No, I really do. Honestly, it's almost like it reminds me of like a senior portrait.
Or a mime.
Yeah, or a mime. But you know the way the senior portrait always had that drape in the back?
Yes.
Speaking of senior portraits, what about that notification that we got this week?
35-year class reunion.
Holy hellfire. Is that real?
I know.
I mean, we didn't have a 30, right? So, I mean, it feels like we haven't had a reunion in a really long time. When was our last one? Was it
25? I think we did things off, right?
I think we did things off too. I don't know. I think it's definitely been more than 5 years. I think this will be 10 years since our last reunion, right? Maybe we did a 25 and this is the 35.
Yeah.
And how have we been out of high school for 35 years? What the fuck?
I know. I still feel like I'm 16.
I don't feel like I'm 16, but I don't feel like I thought 50, almost 3 would feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was watching one of these reels the other day where it says, if you're in your 50s, you only have 9,000, days and 4 summers. I'm like, I don't need to watch this.
I know, that's depressing. Nobody needs to look at life through that lens of you only have this much more. I mean, if you look at it like that, you'd start panicking.
Yeah, I thought,
right? Nobody needs that. I'm just taking life moment by moment, sweetie.
For sure.
You know who else is really living in the moment? Have you seen Luann de Lesseps lately?
No.
On social media? That woman has hit like a new level of like living life, like large, out loud, proud. She is
hot. She's a hot babe.
She's a hot babe. I'm not sure how many cigarettes she smokes a day, but she's the cabaret countess with every fucking fiber of her soul.
Yeah.
She's living it out. And honestly, how great for her.
Yeah, I love her. She's living the cabaret life. And
maybe when she comes to California, we should go and see her. Would you go to a Countess show?
I would love to go to a Countess show with you.
I would only go with you.
You know who goes is Jeff Lewis, which has been very boring lately.
Has he?
Yeah. And Sirius is changing things up. They took away.
Hold on. What's so boring about Jeff? Lewis boring?
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't heard an update on his life in so long. What's happening with him?
He has a boyfriend that lives in Texas that he flies out every other week.
Is it love or just a fling?
Maybe a little more than a fling, I guess. He's coming every other week. He likes him. But yeah, they took away their camera people, so you can't watch Jeff Lewis live. You can only
Wow. Why? Yeah. Did Sirius do that across the board, or was that just Jeff Lewis specific because he's such a liability with what he does and shit? I
think things are changing because Tinks was on his show 2 days ago, and she's even living in New York. She has LA and New York, but she works for Sirius XM, and she was saying, oh yeah, things are changing. So
what's the impetus behind the big change?
He says, maybe we're going to have to start paying for parking. I don't know. They're taking things away. Money, maybe. I don't know.
Strange.
Yeah. So
anyway,
this goes to Luann's shows and John Hill.
Oh, John Hill, that little sweetie. I love him. He is such a fun spirit. You know what's funny? I saw him on Andy. I've decided that I feel like John Hill is my favorite Watch What Happens live guest. And I'll tell you why, because he firstly is absolutely hilarious in his own right? He's a performer in his own right. So he always gives it good. And he's so comfortable with Andy that he, you know what I mean? There's none of that weird wall and oh my God, that's Andy Cohen shit. He just strips it down and gives it like, you know.
Well, they dated.
Oh, I know. I know. That's
Yeah.
my point. Yeah. So he doesn't have, he has a very unique relationship with Andy that allows him, I think, to be more comfortable, which allows him to be better.
Yeah, he was talking about a sex tape that they had made.
I mean, amazing, right? Who else is going to give you those kind of great nuggets?
And I love Andy, he calls him sweetie.
I know. It's so cute. I guess he was in Hairspray. Do you know who was in Hairspray with him? When Andy was dating him, he was doing Hairspray on Broadway. And that dingaling from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the new girl, Brittany was in that same show with him, in that same cast with him.
Oh gosh.
Did you know she's a singer?
Yeah, she is.
Speaking of singers, do you think Taylor Swift, Sweetie, is going to win the Super Bowl again? How do you feel about the Super Bowl? I mean, do you even give a shit given the fact that it's not a hometown team?
I always give a shit. I have a party. I've done a Super Bowl pool. I sell tickets.
I know you always do a pool.
Yeah. I love it, but I wanted the Bills to win. I wanted the Bills to go.
So who do you want to win the Super Bowl?
I don't care. Maybe the Eagles. I probably the Eagles just because I'm over the Chiefs.
I mean, it's hard to not be over the Chiefs. It's hard to not be over, I don't know, the Patrick Mahomes of it all. Just he's a lot for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't honestly, his wife aside, just he's a lot for me. But I mean, I will say if the Chiefs win it again, that'll be what, the first three-peat that's ever happened, which is amazing. And honestly, I mean, that would be so ideal for like Travis Kelce. I mean, to go out on top like that, he should go out on top, you know, propose to his little Swiftie, retire, work when he wants. You know what I mean?
Podcast with his brother.
Podcast with his brother, travel the world with his chick, and, you know.
Yeah.
Live the life.
Yeah. I love Super Bowl.
You know, Super Bowl is, I mean, it's hard to not love it. Even if you don't have a team, there's just such a palpable energy in the air that, I mean, it's great.
Yeah, for sure.
I went to a Super Bowl once and I went to a Raiders Super Bowl, which is so hilarious that I've been a diehard Niner fan my entire life. And the only Super Bowl I went to was a Raider one. But yeah, my Tony was a Raider fan. And when we were together, we went to one. And there is such a unique energy. Doesn't matter who the teams are. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So fun.
Seeing anything live.
What about the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively of it all? Have you been following this?
Yeah. So, you know, in the beginning, I didn't really care. But now that I'm really listening and hearing what people have to say.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
I
have a very good friend who used to be very, very, very good friends with Justin. They were like, you know, that kind of person in your life that is, you know, like super tight with you. And if you were in a different, you know what I mean, period in your life, they were just always friends. And it was always one of those things that they just had such a love, but they always kept it in the friend zone. And then when he's such truly a stand-up guy that, they just kind of went their separate ways a little bit, still have a very special space in each other's heart for each other. But he's married now, you know what I mean? So they adjusted their relationship, but she still has nothing but the most wonderful things to say about him.
Yeah. And if you listen,
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought it would be one thing if I heard, oh no, he's really this, he pretends he's this, he's really this. But no, I mean, she has no reason to lie about him. She has nothing but love for him. And she's like, yeah, no. And do you have a theory about it?
I think that it's Ryan Reynolds who is doing all of this.
Yeah, I think I think it's Ryan Reynolds
He
because
got jealous.
I do think he got jealous. I really do think he got jealous.
She has a track record with dating every well, she hasn't been in a lot of movies, but that's how she got with him. Was he with Scarlett Johansson when
I think they were already divorced. I think. But sorry, I think Justin is a super dynamic person, and she's 4 kids deep with Ryan Reynolds, who, sorry, I mean,
I only liked him in Waiting.
I've never liked him in anything. I think he looks like a gerbil. I don't find him attractive in any way, shape, or form. I don't even like his personality. I don't like the way he jokes. I just have always sort of felt allergic to him. So I get it. I get Justin Baldoni walking into your life and it being a huge breath of fresh air. And suddenly you're 2 a.m. texting and maybe he had to flip the script. And I mean, who knows?
Even the 2 a.m. text could be, he just got off work, like, and he's texting her, but their friendship was great. And he went to their house and was holding their child. And can you imagine Ryan Reynolds seeing this hot babe that he's, I think he just went over
threatened by him.
And she's a prisoner to this now, I think.
I think she created a scenario that would kind of give her an out. She's down that road. And now how does she get off it?
Well, because I think that Ryan is the one doing all of this. And what is she going to say?
You think, Ryan's in charge and she's just like a silent, passenger on this crazy train that he's, like a vendetta. That he's wielding his power. Well, I think Baldoni is calling their bluff by all this stuff that he is releasing. And sorry, you can't listen to that stuff and not side with him.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're trying to put out a gag order to shut him up now.
I know.
No, we're in this now.
We're in this. And why would we want to shut him up? If what you're saying is so true, then we'll hear it, right? In this stuff that he's releasing.
Yeah.
No, it's wild. I can't.
Yeah. That household, the Blake and Ryan household, I don't think is very happy.
No, I don't think the dinner conversation is fun and flowing right now. I don't. I think it's like panic and they're all sitting at the table with their PR.
For sure.
Like thinking about every turn they're going to take.
Yeah.
It's
wild.
They're supposed to go to trial.
I know. They say, hopefully it will, but I doubt it.
Wouldn't that be, I would truthfully.
Oh, the Johnny
that would be so much more entertaining even than the Johnny Depp thing.
Exactly.
Because that was so dark and just like tragic. And
he was dirty too. They both were dirty. She was dirtier, but he was dirty, they both.
That was dark and deep and who needs it?
The TikTok about Teresa being dead. Did you hear this?
No, but I did see her put out a statement saying, I'm not dead.
Yeah, some TikTok kid, or I don't know, someone on TikTok posted that she died in a car accident. And
that's horrible.
I know.
That is horrible.
I know.
That is.
And another thing in New Jersey, Danielle, the one that always fights with Jennifer Aiden.
A brawl?
Yes. She did a reenactment on TikTok of Jennifer Aiden going, but she was pretending to be Jennifer and she was ordering sandwiches. You've got to look it up on TikTok. It was amazing.
It good?
It's silly. She's a brunette. I don't know if it's a wig, but she looks amazing.
Oh, you know what's funny? I did not watch that, but I saw a screenshot of it and she was brunette and I just kind of figured that must have been an old picture and she was standing at a counter. Yes, then I did see it, but I didn't hear it.
But now you'll watch it. But she looks so good.
Yeah. I wonder, Teresa was on a podcast talking about the fact that she's really loved this time away. And I'm thinking, yeah, sure you do.
Right.
We love this time away.
Right.
Please. Speaking of controversial housewives, did you hear Karen Huger fired all of her attorneys after her guilty verdict? Do you remember? Because she professed for so long that she was going to come out of this and, you know, be found innocent. Well, now she fired all the attorneys and she's asked the judge to postpone her verdict until after she completes rehab.
Because she was supposed to be sentenced today.
Yes. And so I don't know if the sentencing actually happened, but doesn't it make sense that she wants to do that? Because then she can go in front of the judge and say, yes, I passed.
I finished rehab.
Please be nice to me.
And I'm the only one you're speaking to because I don't have any lawyers.
I know.
Give me a break.
I know. And I don't care what she says. I don't think that she has all the money that she pretends she has. I mean, next thing you know, she's going to be like self-representing. Anyway, doll, you ready to do a little recap?
Yes. Where are we going?
We're going to go ba-ba-doo. Ba-ba-doo. No, we're not. We're not. We're going to go Traitors first.
Yes.
Yes. Traitors first. I'm telling you something. I could watch this show. I think if they were smart, this show is so good and so captivating. I mean, there's not a lot of shows that you turn on and you don't want to go to the bathroom for. You know what I mean?
No,
but even like there's no housewives that are happening right now that make me not want to leave the screen. Traitors makes me not want to leave the screen.
I said it to my client today. I said, if you're not watching Traitors, you are not living.
Right? And everything, every second matters so much. Like you can't look away because you might miss something. And that something could be pivotal and change the game.
It is so good. And last night on Watch What Happens, who's the guy you like? Bob H? Who's the biggest loser?
Oh, yeah. Bob. Yeah. Bob. Harper. Yeah. H.
So he was on Watch What Happens Live last night.
Yeah.
And he was saying, you know, when we're watching it as viewers, we're looking at them thinking, you idiot, why aren't you seeing this? He goes, you silly. He goes, it is really hard.
Yeah. So, and you know, they're not going to say that if it's not true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So were you surprised?
Yes.
Of how it all unfolded?
Yes.
I mean, it really was because, I mean, I didn't see Nikki looking guilty. Did you?
No. And what is Chriselle thinking? I read people's energy.
For fuck's sake. I can't take her. She is too much for me.
I mean, that was
a lot.
She went over and screwed her friend.
I felt a shift in the energy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, really?
No, you didn't. You had a hallucination.
What about when you were married to your ex-husband? Like, what, you know, are you a good judge? I don't know. But I was surprised that Nikki left, but not upset. She's just with her big eyes looking everywhere all the time. And, you know, whatever, Nikki. I like her better on the Bellas.
I love Nikki. I think she's a fucking peach. I really like her. I did not know that she was going to be on the show this season. I had no idea. Literally, I feel like I had just seen her a couple days before, and then suddenly I'm watching the first day. I'm like, well, that makes it even more interesting when you know someone that gives you someone to cheer for. But you know what's funny? You know that girl that we think is so hilarious, the one Carolyn,
the best.
Mike can't watch her. My Mike, he can't watch her. He goes like this. He can't, he's allergic to her. I don't know why, but he can't take her.
I can get
he said, this is horrible, but
I feel like I know what you're going to say, but say it so I don't have to.
He goes, I just feel like I'm watching a crackhead.
Yes. I was going to say a tweaker.
A tweaker. I think that's exactly the word he used. He says it's hard to watch. It's like I'm watching a tweaker.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's exactly what they do. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you know, all that. He goes, that's like hard programmed into them. He goes, I'm not saying she is now, but at some point she was a tweaker. And I don't know, maybe she is or maybe she's not, but that's just Mike's take.
That's who I want to win. Danielle, the traitor, is horrible. What an idiot. When they were playing the game and
what was that?
Save herself. She saved Tom Sandoval. Didn't she? Sandoval?
I know.
Who dressed like an idiot
like an idiot.
Like, what are you not Peaky Blinders, Miss?
No, he thinks he's Sherlock Holmes or something.
Yeah, he thinks he is the cat's meow.
It's hilarious.
Boring.
Him and his eyebrow.
Boring.
So yeah, so I don't know. It felt so weird that all of a sudden Nikki's name came up and then it started catching fire and everybody's suddenly convinced it's Nikki. I mean, holy shit, it was like unanimous.
I know.
Was it unanimous? I feel like it was.
Yeah, except someone, Zac Efron's brother did Gabby. Like he says, and Gabby. They're like, what? But,
okay, so there was one Gabby.
Yeah.
One defector from the Nikki train.
I think so, right? And Sierra, well, Nikki voted for Sierra, but I thought.
But like everybody voted for Nikki, and I just did not see it at all. I really thought that they were going to hone in on
Carolyn
and Rob, knowing that, because weren't they working off that theory that who else would have known conclusively that drag queen Bob was a traitor if they weren't a traitor themselves, and said he was the one that called him out so definitively and pointedly, they figured that it must be him.
I know.
At least, right? Didn't we? Somebody threw that theory out, and that was a really strong theory. So I don't know why in God's name they all hopped onto the Nikki train.
Yeah, he did great. He went and talked to Wes, and he got himself out of it.
Don't you project yourself into that game when you're watching it?
I that's what I'm saying. Like,
it is so hard not to project yourself into that game.
I know. It's so good.
It's so good. So anyway, bye, Nikki. We lost Nikki. So you have any predictions for next week? Who's going next?
I feel like they are going to come for Boston Rob. You know, he's a strong player. I feel like he won't last.
They're not going to forget who knew that Bob the drag queen was indeed a traitor.
Right. He is,
right?
Yeah.
Boston I bet you're right. I would guess. I would put my money on Boston Rob too.
Yeah, they're coming after him.
Yeah. Well,
we'll see.
We will see. So, okay, now we are moving to Southern Charm, darling.
Yee.
Papa-doo. So the show opens this week with Vanita going over to Sally's house the day after the big party where Craig had to jump in the water to save her life. Did you see that?
Yes.
So was she really drowning?
I think she was drunk and she swallowed a bunch of water, she said. When she jumped in, I think she took in a bunch of water. Yeah. But she was drunk. And,
right. Which is never the way to do it.
Right.
So the two of them dive into conversation, the conversation that Sally had with Taylor at the party the night before. And she tells Vanita that I think Taylor's still pissed because I told her that there's people in this group who told me not to trust you. And
yeah, I don't know. This Taylor
is not it for me. She is.
No. And where's Gaston? He doesn't want to come to any of these parties.
I know. So Taylor, after Vanita told her that, she says, well, I've known these people for a very long time. And then they end their conversation, and then she turned around and left the party. Taylor, because she didn't want to be there, thinking that.
Yeah. What am I doing here?
That she wasn't surrounded by friends.
Exactly.
And Vanita says to Sally, listen, I'll keep it cordial, but after what she did to her supposed best friend, you know, we'll be cordial, but we're not cool.
Yes. Because
let's face it, there's a big difference.
Right.
And then the next, I don't know if it was the next day, but then we're over at Taylor's house and this is like the most we've seen of Gaston. Did you see this? He walks through the door and it's suddenly like, she was like
alive.
Like the light went on and it was performance time.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, honey. I mean, it was just so over the top. It was nauseating. How was work?
Yeah.
I mean, goo goo gaga.
Did you see when she was on Watch What Happens Live the other day? She had her mother and his mother in the audience.
I need you to stop.
Andy was not happy. He says, you're having these two people in the audience with the questions that I'm about to ask you. You know, I had to talk about blowjobs and
I love it.
Yeah, she had her mom and his mom.
And so did he ask her saucy questions?
Oh yeah, of course he did.
And did she cough up or was she
PG-ish, yes.
Oh my God, that's great though. I love that. So her and Gaston sit down and she reminds him that she's going to the tuba concert tomorrow. And she brings up the fact that Sally will be there. And then she goes on to tell him what Sally told her the night before and that it made her feel like shit. Then back in Sally's backyard, her and Vanita agree that they don't need to be buddy-buddy with everybody, but at the same time, they want her to feel comfortable enough that she can come around, right?
Yeah.
And then they end up settling on the fact that they both just want Taylor to be happy.
She can leave. I mean,
I know, it's a lot. Then it's fishing time for Craig, Shep, and JT, but not Austin. Right? Because he's still in shock that his two buddies are even hanging out with the little leprechaun.
Or speaking, yeah.
That they're still entertaining him. And then when we're at the boat, JT, do you see him? It's almost like he walked the plank. That guy just can't get out of his own way. He really can't.
Weren't they throwing the live bait at him?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's coming up. But he's just, to call that dude awkward is an understatement, truthfully. Right? You got to admit that, right?
Yes, I admit it. Even though
I hope
I have a little soft spot for him.
I don't know why.
I know.
So he gets on the boat and he says that he's never gone deep sea fishing. And Shep is totally like dumbfounded by the fact that he's never been deep sea fishing and asks him why. And he says, dude, I golf.
Yeah.
Dude, I golf.
So do they.
And then he says, but I really want to work on our relationship. So maybe fishing will be the way to go. And Shep just looked at him like he was an alien. Like everybody just looks at him like he's an alien.
Right.
And then it's time to bait the hook and they try to get him to grab that freaking live fish. And did you see him?
Oh, he was ready to jump in the water. But then he says, I don't like anything on the water. He doesn't even like to be on the water.
And then they flash back to when they were like a river runs through it fishing. Do you remember? And he couldn't even stand in water up to his ankles. He fell on his ass.
Yeah. With
those waders.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then Craig says, I've never given someone more chances in my entire fucking life.
Right.
He goes, I know he can be a normal, fun guy, but then he has this other side to him that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
He says, so it's hard to say no to the nice guy. You just hope that the crazy guy stays home.
That's why I like him, because he has, I just feel that.
Oh, because you just never know what you're going to get.
Well, I like, because he is actually normal, but then he's also a cuckoo. It's like, I don't like the cuckoo side, but.
No, I get it. It's like you see both sides, and with the normal side, you're like, there's hope for the normal side.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. We all want people that we can have some hope for, right?
Yes, right.
And then while Craig was talking to camera, JT actually reeled in that huge red snapper. Did you see that?
Yeah, huge.
Huge. And then the three guys turn around and do that big famous fish pose. I mean, if I see another guy, those guys in the fish pose, I mean, anybody in a fish pose, right? It's always the same.
Women are doing it with wine bottles now. So when you're done with dry January,
And then that picture they took gets posted for all the world to see.
Well, exactly. That's why they took it also, you know, to jab at Austin.
At Austin. Do you think it was intentional?
Of course it was. They're not dumb.
Then Austin and Madison meet up with Whitney over at his man cave. And it seems like the three amigos have only come to really talk about the big picture.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's really, I feel like that really pushed every button that Austin has.
Right.
It really did.
And
Shep says, I posted it and Austin is pissed. Austin says, I feel like that picture is some kind of childish statement. And Madison says she's pissed because it feels like Craig is betraying her. I mean,
I know. She just hates JT. You know,
I think she's just mostly so annoyed that he would put it out there to the world that she might actually have anything to do with him. And I kind of get that rage. I kind of understand that rage. I would probably want to kill him too.
She does.
Imagine he is giving the impression to anyone that someone would think that in any realm or world would have a chance.
Let them.
Let them. If I hear let them one more time.
It's in everything I watch.
Let them. My sister-in-law is the let them. Every time I open up, let them, let them. Yes. Yes. Let them is right. But it doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
Exactly.
It was Madison said that Craig's been calling her and saying that he's done with the little leprechaun. So she says that he's being a hypocrite. Austin brings up the fact that Craig wants to dissolve the podcast, and that's a real sore spot for him. Speaking of Craig, then we're with him and Shep. Did you see that in the new beautiful backyard?
Oh yeah, Shep. Okay, yeah.
It's so gorgeous. They've already gotten text messages from Shep or from Austin about being upset that they went. Then Craig tries to change the vibe and he turns on those fancy fire features.
Yeah.
And that's the moment when Shep looks around and says, look at this. You've wanted the white picket fence for so long, buddy, and you finally have it. And then Craig, for the first time, kind of, you can see, well, I mean, you've a little bit seen his disillusion with the relationship, but you can kind of see he opens up and shares more about the fact that he says that 1 minute he says she changes her mind a lot. Paige changes her mind a lot. 1 minute it's let's go buy a farm in the middle of nowhere.
Right. And the second is I love New York.
Yeah.
That's what did it. I think that's why
Yeah. And then Craig goes, but I think relationships are compromised. I mean, look at you. You're dating a girl in the Bahamas right now because you like that person.
Right.
And then Shep goes, yeah, I mean, I really do like that person. And then he admits the fact that he like dropped the L word on her like super early on.
Right. Of course he did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's adorable.
She's adorable, but geez Louise, married to Shep in the Bahamas with a bunch of kids. No, thank you.
Well, I mean, there could be worse things. I mean, truthfully, I think that Shep I think he hasn't been ready, but I think he's one of those people that once they're ready, they'll be ready. That might not be till he's 54. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I do think he has it in him.
I do too. And he has a catch. He's got a lot of money. He's very smart too.
He's very smart. He's interesting and fun to talk to. At least he is not, it's not like he's against personal growth. He's very much diving into it, which anybody that is leaning into their personal growth, that's the kind of person I want to hang out with.
Same.
But then Craig says, I'm okay with waiting a few years to have kids. But what I'm risking is, what if Paige wants to turn those few years into 10 years?
Right.
Right? And what do? Do you take, how far?
You take the risk?
How far do you go? It's crazy, right? That's for everyone. That's the work of life. That's the life curriculum.
Right.
It truthfully is.
What do I do?
What do I do? Then we're over at Miss Molly's house and she's starting to get a little nervous about her big performance. And don't you love her?
She is an angel.
An angel. What a
the tuba concert.
The tuba concert.
There. She's so cute.
And the fact that she got, I'm telling you, I got emotional. I got so emotional watching her. I got emotional watching how emotional she got about getting back into tuba.
Same.
It's so cute. And she says, you have to be a band geek to understand it. And I thought, I've never been a band geek, but I was a theater kid and that's close enough. And I totally get it. And I was just full sob watching her.
Same.
So cute. The fact that she said that she almost got a full ride scholarship because of her tuba playing.
Right.
I mean.
And she's back with her old music teacher.
Should have kept up with that recorder in 4th grade. Would have gone places, baby. Then it's time for Molly's after party, and we're over at the Little Leprechauns event space.
Oh, that's right.
This is insane.
This was crazy.
JT says that he's going to use this night to reintroduce himself to the group. JT and Taylor find themselves in the kitchen together, and JT tells Taylor, the last time we were together, you dipped out and didn't even say goodbye. I don't know. 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 He's top 5 of my least favorite characters of all time on TV for me.
Oh.
JT says, so you've been good? Taylor says, yeah, I've been good. And he says, well, you know, I know about Sally and Gaston's relationship. Taylor says, you mean fling? And JT says, listen, you're going to hate me, but I have something to tell you. He was cheating on a friend of mine with Sally. And Taylor says, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to bash my boyfriend.
Right.
And I mean, honestly, like, and even if the real question is, if he's so, you know, feeling like it's his duty to tell her something, why would you tell her at this time, at this place, at this event? Like, why wouldn't you tell her in private?
Right.
If you're really, you know, he makes it out like he cares so much. Like he always is the one that needs to look out for her.
He's got her back. Right.
Come on. What a crock of shit. So then she turns to walk out and she tells Whitney on the way out and the rest of the people, everything that he said to her in the kitchen, they're all confused. And when JT reappears, Taylor says, he's diabolical. I'm leaving. And she does. And then to camera, JT says, I don't know if being an arbiter of truth makes you a bad person, but I care about Taylor, her well-being, her future. I'm coming at this with no agenda for myself, but only so that I can make sure that as she proceeds with her own decision-making from here, that she has all the information.
No.
I can't believe you claim this kid.
I mean.
Also, how old is he? Do we have any idea?
How old are, like in his late 20s?
Late 20s.
Early. How old are they? How old are they? In their 30s?
Oh, come on. How old is that JT? I would say he's at
33, 35.
42.
40s? Oh my.
Want to look it up?
Look at me saying late 20s and yeah, look it up.
What's his last name? Do you know?
Just say JT Southern Charm.
Southern Charm. JT age.
I love that house.
How old did you think he was?
I said late 20. I said 35 after I said late 20s. 33, 35.
38.
Ooh. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought 40s.
I can't. Oh, he's almost 40.
Yeah.
And then once Taylor is gone, all the attention turns to JT and Sally says, what did you say to Taylor to upset her so much? And he says, and the way he flares his nostrils when he talks.
I know this.
What is that?
I noticed that.
He says, I just told her that she doesn't know the true extent of the relationship that you had with Gaston and it's messed up. Shep asks, what was the extent of it, Sally? Why do you hate him so much? Because I want to know. JT says, Taylor thinks it was just a summer fling. And Sally says, We said that we loved each other. And JT says, you know what it was, Sally. And here he goes again. You know what it was, Sally. It was one of those things where you were the other woman and it was a full-blown affair. And Craig goes, but what does it matter, JT? What's the point? I mean, what, truthfully, at this point, what does what she did matter? Like, so he's trying to paint Gaston as a cheater? Like that's his,
yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Right.
Did you hear that? I mean, that girlfriend, remember last time we were together, we talked about the fact that Vanita found out that he had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Apparently he had this girlfriend all along. Apparently he had this girlfriend all along. So it really, the hypocrisy is
he's pointing one finger at somebody and
deep. And then Craig says, Taylor is not your girlfriend. And he says, but she is my friend.
Right.
Sally says, are you trying to say that I home wrecked Gaston? Because that's bullshit. I actually met him out one night and he started touching my leg, making moves on me. And then suddenly we were hot and heavy in the car. And she goes, and I sucked his dick a little.
This is what Andy asked on Watch What Happens Live in front of his mother.
What do you mean? About Sally sucking his dick?
Yes.
What did he ask her?
Something about, she said she put his penis, just a little bit of his penis in my mouth. Because that's what she said, right? She says, I just.
Sally.
Yes, but he was talking about it in front of the mother. Taylor and whoever else was on, he was saying that she said she just had his penis in my mouth, just a little bit.
So how was Taylor reacting to that?
Quiet, awkward, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it makes sense that she didn't know. She just hooked up with that guy.
Exactly. He's
on a night out.
Right. He knows.
And then she says, and then once I found out that he had a girlfriend, I was already totally into him. And then apparently him and the girlfriend broke up and the two of them got together and had like a proper relationship for at least some type of proper relationship. For some amount of time, at least. I mean, they had pictures together, more than one.
And they said they loved each other.
And that he met her 96-year-old grandmother when she was on her deathbed.
Before she passed away.
Which she's not going to just invite, introduce her dying grandmother to some guy she's on a first date with.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. So anyway, and then she said, you have no idea how deep it went and how much that guy scarred me. And then Shep jumps up and says, and looks Sally in the face.
This is so funny.
This is the funniest part of the whole show. He goes, I just don't understand why you even went out with that guy. I mean, he's very average looking. He's so mid.
Mid.
He's so average.
Oh my gosh.
Craig says, JT, this is why people have a problem with you. You're such an asshole, dude. And now you're going to make the rest of us look like an asshole for going fishing with you. And honestly, but this kind of proves everybody's point.
Right.
JT says, sorry, I'm not listening. My friends deserve to know the truth. Period. Did you see? He goes, period. Taylor's my friend and she deserves to know the truth. And he's playing just that. He's like this weird sanctimonious.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, but it's nauseating. He is nauseating. I wouldn't spend 2 minutes around him. I would not. You like him.
I like him, like I said before earlier, but this kind of shit is like.
What about, then Craig goes, GT, you promised me that you would stop minding other people's business. And here we are again. You're not the same person that we went fishing with earlier this week. Then Shep says, JT, listen, I think you touched on something tonight that everyone has been thinking, but you came in so strong, buddy, and there are better ways to skin a cat. No one likes the social police. And truthfully, in life, you should learn quickly that when you become that person, your life takes a very dark turn. And the only people that socially police other people are the people whose lives are most out of control. It's like, I'm not in control of my own life, so I'm going to try and hyper control the world around me.
Right. Exactly.
I know. I used to do it. When I was most out of control, I was most busy in everybody else's business.
Ugh.
Now I don't give a shit. Now you know what we say? Let them.
Let them.
But I learned that let them thing like 12 years ago, truthfully, and letting go
For
and
sure.
letting people walk their own path, truthfully changed my life.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with us.
Has nothing to do with you. And you have to realize that everyone is just walking their own path and that no one's trying to hurt you. I mean, truthfully, everyone takes everything so personally, but people aren't trying to hurt you. They're just desperately trying to help themselves. So when they do things that you don't understand, guess what? You don't need to understand it. Just let them.
Just let them.
It'll all work out.
Yes.
Maybe one day you'll understand and maybe one day you won't, but whatever it is, it'll be fine.
Yep. The greatest to know that.
Then that JT says, it hurt me to have to hurt her, but that's what a real friend does. And then he goes, and then he's so confused and he looks at the camera and he says, why is everyone saying, don't tell people the truth? I mean, what is that? This facade, like the truth is the bad guy. See, where I come from, the truth is welcomed. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh,
JT.
And doesn't he leave the show?
Yes.
But
he did not film like the last, I don't know if they were, like principal scenes or if they were just like confessionals, but I know there was stuff that he was supposed to film that he didn't film. And it's probably, I think, because he got found out about that girlfriend.
I can't wait to see.
On our way over to RHONY. What about RHONY?
What about RHONY?
Yeah, so let's go back a minute and just go back to last week's RHONY.
The finale.
That finale and how it all shook out with Brynn implying that Uba knew about her sexual assault and what she was dealing with. And clearly that wasn't the truth.
Right. That was.
And what she said that she told Uba on the phone, but there was so much hysteria and tears and crying that maybe Uba didn't clock it. Right.
Yeah.
So if there's right? If it's possible, why would you ever let a sentence slip out of your mouth? Oh no, she knew.
Right.
You know what I mean? You wouldn't. And obviously she didn't, or else because I feel very much like Uba has gone through something traumatic herself just by the way that she's been reacting. So I feel like if she
and her cousin, remember her cousin, what happened to her?
Yes, the mutilation.
Dubai, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell it's all very heavy for her. So like, I think it hit even harder, like Brynn implying that she would know that and then be so heartless and insensitive to it that's what threw her over the edge, I think, more than anything. And I get that. Like, don't make it out like I would ever be so calloused and hard about a situation that she knows is so tragic and difficult.
Exactly. She was, her reaction was like,
it was a lot.
It was a lot.
So then we arrive at the reunion, and what about the fact that Brynn just goes sauntering in to Jessel's room and was just like, hey, like, what's up?
Yeah, Brynn operates in a, she has to like she's everything sunshine, because if she doesn't know how to.
Yeah. I think her trauma is deep and super deep. And I think that this sexual assault that she's talking about, I think she has a ton of childhood trauma that she hasn't healed. So then when you start stacking trauma, it
doesn't get healed,
and your life gets mutated. That's the truth, because you're just living through your coping mechanisms. And I think that all of this shit that's tripped Brynn up has just been her coping mechanism.
Exactly. That's exactly what she's doing.
Which is sad. You know what I mean? Because
that's what we're
just trying to navigate through her shit.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, it's trite, but hurt people. And it's not because they are trying to hurt them. It's just because, like we just said, they're just trying to help themselves.
Exactly.
So she's trying to, you know, frame herself in the way that she's been getting by for years.
Right. And it's not working. Everything's coming to a head. So she has a choice. Am I going to help myself, or am I just going to keep continuing? Yeah. And I follow her on Instagram, and it looks like she's just continuing.
Well, I think until you know another way, it is true. You do just continue more of the same. You know,
without getting
help. Yeah, you kind of have to
hit rock bottom.
Yeah, and everybody's rock bottom looks different. You know what I mean? Not everybody has the same rock bottom.
Exactly.
At some point, you get to the point where you're like, oh, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried it this way, I've tried it this way, and that's the break, and you realize, well, you know, I need to realign myself. I've been doing it wrong all along, and then that's when, you know, that's when life starts flowing instead of fighting life, and that's when life starts flowing. And poor Britt, I feel like she's been fighting her whole life.
Yeah, you could see it.
So, but she's going to have to wake up and have a big realization about the fact that you can't just live, you know,
and lie and
you know, and just live through all of those coping mechanisms and survival skills that you've learned along the way. Because when you're living through survival skills, all you're doing is surviving. And that's why you lie and you jump from lie to lie, and it feels like your life is a lie, and then you don't know who you are, and you're lost, and you feel, you know, untethered, and then you feel worthless because you don't. I mean, it's just all one big snowball. Poor thing. I feel
poor thing is right.
My heart goes out to her. It's not a fun place to be.
No, watching her on the reunion last night
was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard because, you know, no matter what, it's you can tell Brynn has a sweet heart in there. She has, you know.
Yeah.
Poor little thing. Anyway, did you see as the show opens, the first one out is Jenna in her robe.
In her $1,500 Balenciaga robe.
I wonder if it feels different than the one I get at Nordstrom Rack.
Of course it feels different.
Just because you know it's $1,500, or because it feels different? Because you know it's $1,500.
No, some nicer things are nicer, you know.
But it's possible that it could just feel
Nordstrom Racky.
And then we have Raquel in her gorgeous gown. She's beautiful. That Raquel, don't you think she's beautiful?
Beautiful.
I think she's gorgeous.
Same.
And Uba looks stunning in her all black. I thought she was great.
Her makeup was amazing.
And then we had Brynn in her Golden Girls getup. I don't know. I don't understand why she falls apart for every reunion. What is that? Like, we get it. Like, you know how to look like Mrs. Roper. We get it.
It was awful. It was awful.
Then we have a pregnant Erin glowing in gold and her cute little baby bump. Sai walked in giving Gone with New York City meets Gone with the Wind.
Work on top, party on the bottom. I love Sai.
I you know what? I love Sai too. Like, I feel like of all of those women, I would hang out with Sai.
Same.
She reminds me of people that we grew up with.
Yeah.
And then there was Jessel, who honestly I thought looked chic as fuck.
Jessel's amazing.
She looked great. Then Andy starts all the shit out by announcing that they all just watched the finale this morning, which, I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So which is really smart of them to do, because then everybody's fresh.
Everyone's ready and fresh.
I love that. He asked the girls if they have any intentions for tonight, and Brynn says that she thinks there's going to be a lot of clarity and she's hopeful for resolution.
Right.
And
Erin watching the episode. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And Aaron says, I hope so, because I feel like a lot of us are still really confused.
Yeah.
And then it all starts with Andy asking Jenna about her partner, Cass, choosing not to be on the show. And Andy talks about the fact that he was at a party that they were at.
Right.
Says that Cass saw him and bolted. And he says, like, and Jenna just started laughing because she knew it was true.
Right. And she's trying to say, well, you were one of 7 people that were trying to stop us, and we're trying to get out of here.
Yeah. And then Andy tries to clear things up and asks Jenna if they're actually married. And Jenna clears it up and says, not technically. They're all very coy, though, right? I mean, it's all like, then Andy asks Jessel if Pavitt has apologized to Sai for calling her a bitch. And Sai says no. But I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's not like they were calling him what?
Nemo.
Nemo.
Was it yeah, Nemo, right? And then Sai's trying to say, well, he is liking it because he dressed up like Nemo on Watch What Happens Live.
I know.
The joke of it.
Then Andy asked Raquel all about her mom. And it sounds like ever since that trip to Puerto Rico, there's been no progress.
Wow.
She hasn't FaceTimed with the kids. She hasn't been to New York. She hasn't done anything. That's so weird.
She's a lesbian?
I think she doesn't like the fact that her daughter's a lesbian. Yeah. Horrible. She's bitter. She's bitter about it.
Yeah.
Then Andy brings up the fact that all the girls acted like full on balls to the wall lesbians when the mother was there.
And they all didn't. Yeah.
And Jenna is mortified. She says that she didn't even, she goes, it's like she had an out of body experience. She goes, I don't even know what happened. I don't know why.
Right. She's like, I didn't even realize until
it was weird though, right? They all knew.
All of them.
They all knew that her mom was weary and leery and a little uncomfortable. And it was like, Girls Gone Wild or something.
Yeah, they're all kissing each other hello and
on the lips.
More than they ever had.
And more than they ever had.
Right. I think that was the last episode I ever watched until the finale.
Yes, hilarious. Then Andy changes the subject and asks who heard Sai say that she couldn't stand Jenna. And Sai says, I never said that I hated Jenna. I just said that she wasn't for me. And Aaron says, well, I've heard you say some things kind of like that. Then Jenna points to people, you told me, and then you told me, and she's pointing to Brynn. Brynn says, I heard it from you, Jenna, at your house. And then I said, yeah, well, if everyone is saying that she hates you, it's probably true. But then somehow it got turned into the fact that I told her that. And then Sai says, well, she told me that you told her. And then Brynn opens her mouth and says, coming into this season, it was all about getting people to like Jenna more and make them like me less. Did you hear that?
No. What?
Yeah. And everyone looked confused. And Sai goes, what? Huh? Yeah. She made it out like she was trying to.
He's God's savior going, I'm going to lift you up, but I'll be the one that everyone.
Yeah. And I'll take the brunt of it. Yeah.
No, because that's what's really happening on its own, right?
It's so weird. Then Brynn goes full cry face and says, you put me through hell for weeks. 5 weeks of hell. And Sai says, me? What did I do? And Brynn says, you sent me all these nice texts and a birthday text. And Sai says, yeah, I also invited you to Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And Sai says, what did I do? She says, you invited me to Thanksgiving dinner, but you lie. That's all you do. And Andy asked Brynn what exactly happened the first 5 weeks that were so traumatic. And Brynn says, they were all coming for me and it was hard. And then they flash back to that first party.
Yes, that Brynn put on.
Yes, that was Brynn's party. And everybody was kind of coming for Brynn hard that night. Like they started.
All for reasons of what she had done, dirty things to each one of them.
Right. She had done, and she had. So then they flash back to a bunch of different examples of Brynn's messy behavior. Brynn says, I don't elaborate stories. The thing I do is, if you tell me something, I just go and run and tell the other person.
Right.
Sai says, yeah, with embellishments.
Yes. So
they said Brynn always adds some sauce.
Always. And it shows it. This whole episode.
But it makes sense, right? Because
Of course.
she's constantly trying to manipulate the situation to keep herself feeling safe.
Yep.
Or what she thinks works for her. But clearly,
it's
the gig is up, sweetie.
Self-sabotaging.
Jenna says, listen, Bryn, what we're telling you is that sometimes when you tell a story, the original intent gets lost and the other person ends up getting hurt. And then they bring up that whole carbon monoxide text. Remember that one?
Yeah, but she was saying Aaron.
Yeah. And this is why you don't write shit down. This is the perfect example, right? Because they're all still bringing up this text. And then Bryn loses it and says, the worst things I ever said on messages were about me. I write texts about me and the periodic table, not about other people in Pixar. And then she implied that Then she implied that she wrote that text during the fallout from that sexual assault and tries to give it some cover, like, I was going through all of this.
Right.
This is my free pass. Like,
yeah.
Right?
But everybody's seeing her.
Yeah, exactly. Then she says, it wasn't only one text, it was a million things. Bryn says, then you made the Jeff Lewis thing worse by saying that you don't know where I get my money. And Sai says, well, I don't know what you do for a living.
Right.
Bryn. How do you get your money? And Bryn,
where do you work?
Where do you work? Yeah. And Bryn sheepishly says, I do your job.
Fucking idiot.
What kind of an answer was that?
What was that? That was so stupid.
What kind of an answer was that?
So,
I mean, truthfully, I really think that if Bryn knew what she did and did what she claims to have done, working PR for whatever, I would think that she'd be able to just rattle off a list of like the last 3 to 5 companies that she's worked for if she's built this incredible life that can sustain her lifestyle in New York City.
Right. In her $7,000 dress.
Shouldn't you be able to just articulate that?
Prove it.
I do your job.
I do your job. It was ridiculous. It's
so
like,
is she trying to imply now she's an influencer? Because that's what Sai does, right?
Is. And that's exactly right.
So now maybe she's no longer in PR. Like, I don't know, but it was just like, even if she was in the middle of crossing over, she could say, I've been in PR for however many years. And like, there would have been she is very articulate. She would have been able to describe what she does, even if she's going through a lull.
Right.
I didn't understand that I do your job was weird.
Me either.
Then Andy interrupts and asks Sai how therapy is going. And Sai says, oh, I'm not going anymore.
Right. He says, well, how long did you go? She says, 4 months.
Which I mean, is better than 4 weeks.
Of course.
I think 4 months is a good start. Then it's time for Erin's package, and we dive into her dad's death, her mom's illness, the Bitcoin, the abortion story, the new baby, and the fact that Erin found
Pascal too,
and brought it to the States.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erin.
So
the abortion topic really hit a nerve, and Erin said that the response she got was amazing. I really thought the conversation she had with her dad about that was so moving.
So,
and the fact that he even shared his own experience with it, I thought was so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that everyone has just been so supportive and sweet. And nobody gets an abortion because they want to. And right, nobody gets an abortion and like, it's like, oh yeah, I get to go. You don't get abortions because you want to, you get them because you have to, or at least you feel that you have to. And I think takes a lot. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, the amount of guts it takes to broach that subject on a national platform and say that. I thought it was
right.
I thought it was very brave of her.
Yeah.
Then Andy turns to Bryn and confronts the sexual assault issue and asks her why she went public. And she says, because it helps. Andy asks if she carries shame around because of it. And she says, of course. And then he asks if she uses humor to mask that shame. And she says, oh, I always have.
Obviously.
I mean, obviously, right? I mean, 2 + 2. She says, I suck things up and just keep going. Otherwise, I'd never get out of bed.
Yep.
Brynn goes on to say that not only has she talked to the person since, but that she sees him. What was that?
Right. She sees him.
Like where? Like at the donut shop? Like where? At work?
Right. It was somebody that she knew.
Yeah, and was courting her, she says. She says that she considered pressing charges, but if you don't get the rape kit right away, then it's really just one person's word against another. And, you know, I mean, to a large degree, she's right.
So horrible.
Horrible. They should have like at-home kits. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be so? I mean, not like anyone would know how to do it right, but I think so many people don't do it because the thought of walking into a hospital is just so...
Right. You want to go home and take a bleach shower.
Everything she's saying leaves the women, leaves everybody else rattled. Uba is clearly affected. Andy asks why she's crying, and Uba tearfully says, because like she says, it's harder if you know the person. And she is moved. Like, I mean, moved.
I know.
Then Uba announces that she gave up her apartment in the city and moved to Connecticut. She says she's planning on having those fibroids removed and then hopefully having a baby.
Love that.
Love that for her. Then Andy turns to Jessel and asks for an update on the fertilized female embryo. That poor baby.
I know.
I mean, when it finally gets here, we're all going to be like, dun, 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 if it gets here.
Right.
Then Andy reads viewer feedback about Pavitt that wasn't good. Then Andy gives Jessel huge props about the way she looks because, I mean, she was looking stunning. She said, first, she just had a little Botox. Did you see that? He goes, what have you had done?
A little dabble of Botox. She's called it something, a little dabble. And then says, don't lie, I set you up with my person, or, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And then she cops to filler. And then she says, I've always done Botox and filler. And then she coughs up to getting veneers. But honestly, it was all, whatever she's doing, keep doing it, Jessel.
And her haircut, amazing. Yeah,
she's never looked better. Then he asked Jessel about the conversation about the conversation that she had with the girls, about the one where they were asking about who is the greatest
love of your life.
Or yes, but she said that it wasn't about the love of your life, that it was like the biggest.
Yeah, what was it?
What was it?
How they word
like your biggest
sex, the greatest sex of your life, or some kind of thing like that, right?
It was about the craziest hookup.
The craziest hookup, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then Jessel went on to say that it really affected her relationship with Pavitt, and she had to have a big conversation with him. So, I mean, that was...
And it went back to Brynn after she said it. She went to the camera and was saying, it's really nice to, you know...
talk shit with my friends. I haven't been,
close to them. So her talking shit.
Yeah, she was excited to be able to gossip. And Jessel was like, listen, Brynn, I'm sick and tired of being your target. All you do is cut me down and beat me up. And she's right. Brynn takes pot shots at her all the time.
Yeah, she lied.
Yeah. And then Jessel says, meanwhile, I'm sitting on the couch with my husband, who is the love of my life and the father of my kids. And it was horrible. And she says,
watch it.
Yeah, she says, I don't know what she's talking about. And he's thinking I'm lying.
Right. Right.
And she says, and now my friends need to watch that shit. And my friends and my family need to watch that shit. So yeah, Brynn said that the love of, what they were talking about was the love of their life. And Jessel said that it was her ex, some guy that she went out with before, but it wasn't. It was the craziest
hookup.
Yeah, your craziest hookup. So she was misrepresenting everything that she said. And I mean, that's damaging shit. Imagine.
Yeah, she's a dirty bird.
And then Jessel says, all you do is try and beat me down. You call me desperate. She has no taste. And everything that comes out of your mouth about me is horrible. And I just don't know how I'm supposed to be your friend. And then Jenna starts shaking her head and Andy asks why. And Jenna says, I just had no idea that what Brynn said wasn't true. So, I mean, here's everybody operating under the assumption that the love of Jessel's life is indeed her
ex. Exactly. And Jenna, she just shakes her head and says,
yeah. And then she lets Brynn have it.
Yeah.
Jenna style, as only Jenna can do, which is, I mean, basically like.
Right. It was good.
It was good.
It was good.
And then Brynn tries to talk and Jenna says, just stop. Just shuts her down, which was great.
Yeah.
Brynn is, I think that's it. Brynn always has a way of talking.
Right. I'm going to crawl my way out of this.
Always.
There's nothing you can say.
Exactly. And then she goes on to say, just stop because the spin is really dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't believe you do that to her. And then Brynn whispers, I didn't know. I'm sorry. And Jenna says, you did know. You knew that it wasn't her husband, and you still actually chose to bring it up.
Yeah.
And the end of part 1. But I mean, it was something. And I think this is going to be a really pivotal time in Brynn's life. I mean, I feel like losing the show, and I think she felt like she needed to walk away from the show. And she probably did, because I think if Brynn's going to enter that new chapter of her life that she dreams of, she's going to need to pivot away from the way she's been doing things and allow herself a new way.
Yeah, she needs help.
She can't keep doing life the way she's been doing life and expect anything to change.
The whole cast is against her.
The whole cast.
And it's her doing.
Right. And that's a really important lesson. Oh my God, you have to, at some point, you got to look at yourself and say, wait a minute. Yeah.
What the fuck have I done?
Right. What's the common denominator here?
Right. This isn't working for me.
Hey, I'm the problem. It's me. It's sweet pea. Yeah. So next part 2 coming up. Part 2 coming up. We got part 2 of Salt Lake City reunion tonight.
Tonight.
Tonight, right? Yes. Tonight.
The Lisa Barlow.
What about the Lisa Barlow sob fest?
Oh my God. And
I mean,
she can't stop touching her hair.
Unbelievable.
It's wild. I don't know about Lisa Barlow.
I don't either. I don't know about Lisa Barlow. I will say that Mary so far in that reunion, again, I mean,
Golden Globe.
Taking it to the streets. I love her. I mean, what's happening?
I know.
Where was she?
I know.
Was Mary Cosby all this time? And I mean, I got to say, hats off to Andy or Bravo or whatever production company kept Mary in the loop. Mm-hmm. They must have seen something that we couldn't see and they knew that there was this goodness percolating under there, because it has blossomed. And I'm so glad. She's fully worth the wait, right? Fully worth the wait.
So many people that I talk to, everyone's like, yeah, I
know. All right. Well, we'll talk part 2 of the Salt Lake City reunion next time.
Yep.
Anyway, baby, thanks so much for spending this time with me.
Love you.
I love you so much. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Christy May's Garage on Instagram.
That's right, sweetheart. If you need succulents, everybody, Christy is your girl.
I am.
All right, my love. I'll talk to you next time.
Okay. Love you.
Big kisses. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, everybody, that about does it for this episode of Generally Speaking. If you've been watching this on YouTube, please make sure you reach out and smash that subscribe button. If you've been listening on your favorite streaming platform, please make sure you reach out and hit that follow button. Give us a 5-star rating, leave a message, tell your friends, tell your family. We would love that. If you'd like to reach me on socials, you can find me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking, or on YouTube at The Jennifer Snook. If you would like to collaborate or have questions you'd like answered on the pod, you can reach me by email at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. And if you'd like to get your hands on some of this adorable Generally Speaking merch, I will leave the link down below. All right, everybody. I have loved spending this time with you. Thank you so much for spending it with me. And until we are together again, everybody, stay rooted in love. I'll see you next time.